All right, let's talk about building something deeply personal, something really powerful, a blueprint for your mind. We're diving into a concept called self-governance. And really, it's all about moving from that feeling of internal chaos to a place of coherent control. So, let's get right into it.
I mean, you know this feeling, right? You have a goal, you know what you need to do, but there's this part of you that just fights back. It's like this internal civil war is raging, the productive you versus the part of you that just wants to procrastinate. Why is that battle so common?
Well, that's exactly where self-governance comes in. And here's the key. It's not about winning that inner war with brute force. Think of it more like a master plan, a really smart framework for getting all the different parts of you, your ambitions, your impulses, your discipline, to finally work together instead of against each other.
Okay, so here's the game plan for our session. We'll kick things off by defining what self-governance actually is. Then we'll lay down the foundation with something called agency. After that, we'll build up the architecture of discipline, figure out where the energy comes from to power it all, and wrap up with the art of self-leadership to run the whole show.
So, first things first, what exactly is this master plan for your mind? Let's get right to the core definition.
Okay, I know, that sounds super academic, right? But just think of it like this. It's your personal rule book. It's the system that helps you coordinate all your different mental tools. Your reason, your emotions, your motivation, so they stop fighting with each other. At its heart, it's really just about creating order out of that internal chaos we all feel. Now, every good building needs a rock-solid foundation. And for our inner architecture, that bedrock, that starting point, is what we call agency.
This is that click, that moment your mind realizes, wait a minute, I'm the one in charge here. It's that huge shift from just reacting to whatever life throws at you to actively being the one who originates your own actions. It's the difference between saying, oh, I have to go to work, and saying, I am choosing to go to work. See the power in that?
So if agency is knowing you can act, then autonomy is the next level up. It's about acting based on your own rules. You're not just a piece on the chessboard anymore. You're the one writing the rules of the game you play by. And you do it free from outside pressure or just whatever you feel like in the moment.
And choice, well, that's how this all gets real. Choice is the tool that takes all that potential and turns it into actual reality. Every single choice you make, whether it's huge or tiny, is a concrete action that shows the world and yourself what you actually value.
All right, so we've got our foundation poured. Now it's time to put up the frame. This is the architecture that gives our intention some real strength and direction. And yeah, you guessed it, this is where discipline comes into play.
Think of it like this. These are the three main pillars holding everything up. First, you've got executive control. That's kind of like the CEO in your brain. It does the high-level planning. Then there's self-regulation. That's your on-the-ground manager, making those moment-to-moment adjustments to keep things on track. And discipline? Well, that's the powerful outcome of the other two working together. It's your ability to consistently pick what actually matters in the long run over what just feels good right now. So you can have a beautiful blueprint and a solid structure, but it's not going anywhere without some power, right? So what's the electricity that makes this whole system run? Well, that brings us to the energy of empowerment. And look, empowerment can sound like just another buzzword, but it's not. It's a real thing. It's that deep-down conviction that you are effective. It's the gut feeling that your actions actually matter and that you have the authority you give yourself to make decisions and follow through on them. But here's the thing. How can you possibly feel empowered if you don't have self-trust? You just can't. Self-trust is that core belief in your own judgment. It's the thing that gives you the confidence to actually act on your decisions and finally tell that nagging inner voice of doubt to just be quiet for a while. Okay, so let's recap. We have the foundation. We have the structure. We've got the power source. So who's actually in the driver's seat? This is where we get into the art of self-leadership, where you take the controls and actively guide this whole system. And this is a really important distinction to make. Think of self-leadership as the visionary part of you. It's the part that's looking through the telescope, setting the long-term destination. It answers the big why question. On the other hand, self-management is the operator. It's the one down in the engine room, figuring out the how. It's all about the daily actions, the structured practices. And let me be clear, you absolutely need both. You need the vision and you need the execution to get there.
And here's the reality check. None of this works. None of it, without a firm anchor in reality. And that anchor is self-honesty. It's like the system's built-in lie detector. It's that tough, courageous refusal to lie to yourself or to try and rationalize away your mistakes. Because without that, this whole beautiful structure we're building, it's all just built on a foundation of sand.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. We've talked about all these different pieces, the foundation, the architecture, the energy, the leadership. Now let's see how they all plug into each other to create one dynamic, living operating system for you.
And this is where it gets really interesting, kind of the next level stuff. True self-governance isn't about being this rigid, iron-fisted tyrant to yourself. Not at all. It's about having the wisdom to know when to push and when to yield. Real mastery is flexible. It's knowing how to adapt, how to release control for a moment without losing your overall direction. It's much more like a dance than a dictatorship. And all of this brings us to what you could call the ecology of autonomy. You can see how every single part feeds into the others, right? Agency and autonomy lay the foundation. Discipline and regulation build the infrastructure. Empowerment provides the energy. Leadership and management give it a strategy. And honesty allows for reflection. It really is a living, breathing system, not just a checklist of personality traits.
So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this. Self-governance is not some static statue that you carve once and then you're done. No, it's more like a garden that you have to tend to. It's a dynamic, living system that you can actively work on, strengthen, and renew every single day.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one for you to think about. As you look at this whole blueprint for your mind, the foundation, the structure, the power source, the leadership, I want you to ask yourself, which one of those pieces, which part of your inner architecture are you going to start working on first?